Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
NCBA's CEO shares an update on some of the key issues facing the beef industry. Plus, valuable advice on how to develop an effective deworming strategy for your operation.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner, coming to you today from Drennan Feedlots here in Palmer, Nebraska. From drought to wildfires to high winds damaging the corn crop, 2020 has had no shortage of challenges. And that's not even mentioning the supply chain issues resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. Through it all, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association has continued to fight for the interests of cattle producers in every state and in every sector of the beef cattle industry. Now, Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Russell Nemitz joins us with an update on some of the current issues that are impacting the beef industry.
NCBA's work is critical to the long-term success of the beef industry. Joining me now to talk more about these efforts is NCBA CEO Colin Woodall. And Colin, I know the Beef Promotion Operating Committee met last month to set budgets along with priorities for the coming year. Give us an update, if you will, on the outcome of that meeting and why it's so important for all beef producers.
Well, the decisions by the Beef Promotion Operating Committee are so important because it determines how checkoff dollars are going to be used for the upcoming year. There's a lot of misinformation out there about the checkoff, and a lot of people think that NCBA is the checkoff, but that's not the case. We are a contractor. In fact, we're one of several contractors to the checkoff. And each year we have to go in front of the BPOC, which is made up of 10 cattle producers representing the Cattlemen's Beef Board and 10 cattle producers representing the Federation of State Beef Councils. And they may or may not be NCBA members, but all of us that are contractors go in front of the BPOC and we pitch them the ideas for different programs, promotions, and research ideas that we're going to do for the upcoming year. And if they like what we have to pitch, they're going to fund us. And if they don't, then they won't, or they'll cut us. In fact, NCBA, we took a cut this year, but regardless, we're going to be moving forward with our research work, the work that we do on culinary development, and also all the promotion work we do via the Beef It's What's for Dinner campaigns.
Well explained. Switching to the policy side now, cattle pricing is still a concern for a lot of folks out there. Tell us about the latest efforts by the Cattle Marketing Working Group.
As part of NCBA's summer business meeting back in July, we had a 6-hour live cattle marketing committee meeting where we talked about everything that was going on within the cattle markets and how we can be more proactive in trying to protect the interests of cattle producers. So we put in place a subgroup that has been made up of 7 cattle producers that are a part of the live cattle marketing committee, or NCBA members, to come up with an idea of how we can incentivize more cash trade in order to help with price discovery. That group has been working, and they set a deadline of October 1st to get a proposal together. They were able to meet that deadline, and in fact, they've been able to roll it out to the bigger cattle markets working group. So we are in the process of trying to take that program and implement it, and also roll it out to all of our members so they know exactly what it is we're going to be pushing for. But we feel pretty good about it. We were able to not only reach the deadline, but also do it in consensus. And more importantly, what we were able to achieve was at the direction of NCBA's members. So it shows once again that NCBA truly is a grassroots organization where it's the members that run the show, not us as staff and not the packers.
Absolutely. You know, during this ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, all of us in agriculture, and more specifically the U.S. beef cattle industry, we've learned a lot of things. What about efforts to increase U.S. beef packing capacity? Any opportunities there?
Well, you're right, Russell. We did learn a lot of valuable lessons, knowing one is that we have to increase our overall packing capacity. And one of the ways that we can do that is get some help from the federal government. So we have worked to help get introduced several pieces of legislation on Capitol Hill that would help smaller packers in order to grow their opportunities and also to incentivize new packers to come online. One of those is the Direct Act, which would allow smaller mom and pop type of packing plants to be able to engage in electronic commerce and to take state inspected product and be able to ship it across state lines. We think that would give a lot of these smaller plants more opportunities to be able to generate revenue and to grow. Also working with a piece of legislation called the Ramp Up Act. What the Ramp Up Act do, it would actually provide some government funding to allow smaller plants that just don't have the funds to become federally inspected plants to be able to reach that goal. Both of those, we believe, will go a long way in helping increase our overall packing capacity. And they are part of a bigger piece of legislation that was just rolled out called the Price Act, that would not only do both of those particular pieces, but also add some additional financing options to help the construction of new, smaller plants.
Hey, Colin, your DC team is working every single day on issues just like these. What are some of the wins that they've had here in recent weeks?
Of course, one of the biggest wins is the role that we played in helping Congress pass a continuing resolution that is going to keep the government funded through December the 11th. That's extremely important because the last thing we wanted to see was the government shutting down, especially right before this election. And as part of that, it included an extension of mandatory price reporting, which is such an important part of the overall transparency and price discovery discussion that we were talking about earlier, but also to make sure that we take a lot of the wins that we had on things such as a livestock exemption from hours of service in order to help us run longer and get cattle to their next phase. That extension was also a part of this continuing resolution. So some big wins for us here at the end of the year before Congress really packed up and went home to focus on the last few days before the election.
And before we let you go today, Colin, let's not forget CFAP, those coronavirus food assistant payments through USDA. What do cattlemen and cattlewomen need to know on this issue?
Yeah, cattle producers need to know that if you're interested in getting these funds, you need to apply now. Go online, go to USDA.gov. You will find all the information on how to make your application. This is something that NCBA worked very hard on last spring as part of the CARES Act that was passed by Congress to secure this funding that USDA then utilized to develop the CFAP program. In fact, Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue gave NCBA credit for securing those dollars, and those are dollars that are being used not only for cattle producers, but for all commodities. So it's important that if you're interested in this program, go get signed up because we do have a deadline coming up at the end of October for the second round of payments.
Colin, as we wrap things up, what message do you have for cattle producing families nationwide as we head toward November 3rd and a big election?
Vote. It's your right. Execute that right. It's not an option. You need to show up. But this is an interesting year. And so it's not going to be as easy as it has in the past to just show up on an election day. So do your homework because every state's doing it a little bit differently. Find out what the voting rules are going to be in your local jurisdiction. Find out if you can vote in person on November 3rd. And if not, make sure that you're filing the paperwork to either vote early or vote absentee. The big key is do your homework early. Don't just show up on November 3rd and be surprised if for some reason you can't vote because of some of the changes that have been made due to COVID. But vote. November 3rd is the day.
All right. Very well said. Colin, as always, we appreciate you joining us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Thanks, Russell. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association works every day to advance the economic, political, and social interests of the U.S. cattle business, and to be an advocate for the cattle industry's policy positions and economic interests. We had a chance to ask one NCBA member why he values being a part of both his state Cattlemen's Association and the national organization.
I'm a member of Ohio Cattlemen's and the NCBA because they support Cattlemen. They support cattlemen's issues and they fight for us. I got started involved with the Ohio Cattlemen quite a few years ago. When my daughter was younger, she ran for and got the Ohio Beef Queen. Our family's always been wanting to give back to things that do well for us. And so when I was asked to run for the board of directors for Ohio Beef Cattlemen's Association, I was glad to give back. That's something that we really want to do, is give back to the community and give back to the operations, whether it be NCBA or High Cattlemen's. We want to give back to those organizations that help us. It's important to be a member of a High Cattlemen's or the NCBA because who else is going to fight for you?
To keep up to date on the issues facing cattlemen and women, and to help make a difference in the industry, why not join Kelvin as a member of NCBA? It's easy to do. Just call 866-233-3872 or visit the website ncba.org. We've got a special episode of Cattlemen to Cattlemen coming your way next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That's when we'll announce the 2020 Regional Environmental Stewardship Award winners. It's a chance to honor 7 operations that go above and beyond with their stewardship and conservation efforts. So be sure to tune in next Tuesday. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll take you inside a farm in Kentucky that's producing valuable research for the beef industry. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Weeds will rob me of my investments. The weeds are not palatable to cows. They will not eat them, or if they do eat them, some of them may be toxic. So there's a return on investment by allowing there to be more grass available to be grazed by the cattle.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the oldest cattle industry organization, working every day to defend your interests in Washington, D.C. And there are big benefits to being a member. You'll get news you can use in the National Cattlemen and policy updates from Beltway Beef, plus big discounts from John Deere, Cabela's, and more great partners. Join now. Call 866-233-3872 or sign up online at ncba.org.
Research conducted by colleges and universities can lead to new techniques and technology that can have a significant impact on cattle producers. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Brad Bulla has more on a great farm in Kentucky that's providing producers with cutting-edge information.
Located in northeast Kentucky, Eden Shale Farm was founded by the University of Kentucky in 1955. In 2012, the Kentucky Beef Network, an arm of the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association, assumed the management of the farm through a cooperative agreement with the UK College of Agriculture.
We knew going in at that point in time that we didn't have the personnel or the financing to do research like the university did. So being a membership organization, we took that Kentucky Beef Network model of reaching out production-wise and put it to use here at the farm. So we use this as a demonstration and learning center.
I think that what this adds to us is basically what you have is a bunch of, kind of geeky square scientists, that come up with these crazy ideas and stuff like that. But by partnering with the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association and the Beef Cattle Network, now we have practicality. I'm an environmentalist, but I'm working well with the Cattlemen's Association. And that it's a great relationship because we're basically looking at the same thing. We're basically looking at improving the profitability and the production of Kentucky producers.
It's been really positive. And man, it's given us, how many cattlemen's associations do you know of that have a 1,000-acre farm to be able to do these practices? And if we can farm up there and do stuff, I think it gives some clout and credibility into what we do in other places. So it's really a fun place to go and to watch what's taken place since we started it.
Eden Shale Farm's pastures and commercial cow herd are typical of most Kentucky cattle operations. and the farm is managed in a very real-world way. That means the production practices developed and tested on the farm are well suited for producers to implement on their own operations.
We work directly with producers at helping them with on-farm efficiencies, at helping them with certifications like the Beef Quality Assurance Program, things such as that. And we have a Master Cattlemen series here in Kentucky that we do that gets very high level for the producers as far as getting hands-on and helping them learn techniques that they can take back to their farms and implement. So we're very much the production arm of the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association to help those producers learn new skills and techniques. One thing that gives us a huge advantage, we feel like, is that we have to manage this farm much like a producer would. When the Kentucky Beef Network took this farm over from the university, we did not get funding along with it. So we took the little bit of money that we had set aside and purchased the initial cow herd, and we now manage the farm each year on the revenue that those calves generate us each year. So once we sell our cattle, we're making the same decisions the producer has as to how much fence can I afford to fix and how much fertilizer can I put down and those kind of things.
It's a direct connection because, I mean, the stuff that they're doing here is the same thing that producers are doing on their farms. What I really like about this operation is they're on a shoestring budget. And also the farm speaks well, or speaks of this kind of not very much money as far as putting on the ground. I mean, and so those are the same type of situations that farmers deal with. They have to make tough decisions. I only have so much money, what am I going to spend it on?
Eden Shale Farm covers more than 900 acres, and the knowledge shared here is varied, covering everything from weaning to fencing, facilities design, and more.
We do everything different out here as far as, I mean, we don't do the same practice every time. So we do a different twist on everything at that time. So when we bring tours out here and producers out here, they've basically got a cafeteria style menu to choose from. And they can pick and choose any kind of, you know, what they want to take home with them. So it's just a lot of things that we do out here just make a lot of practical sense.
Our Kentucky producers, the main thing they're looking for is time efficiency. They want production efficiency as well, but time efficiency is what they need. A lot of them work full-time jobs and farm nights and weekends. And of course, in the winter, that means they're farming in the dark. So it's a real challenge to have enough time to get everything done. So anything we can do that increases their efficiency while also having a production benefit really excites them. So the fence line feeding system really gets a lot of interest from producers across Kentucky. It's simple, it's effective, they can implement it. The large bale feeder, same thing. It's simple, it's effective, and they can implement it. It's always important to keep our producers on the cutting edge to make sure that they are staying competitive in the market.
From Eden Shale Farm in Kentucky, I'm Brad Bullitt for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about this great research and educational farm in the Bluegrass State, visit the website EdenShaleFarm.com. When we return, we'll share some valuable tips on how you can protect your herd from internal parasites. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is Hard Brand Cattle. Family owned, family run, prime focused, and home to the largest and best source for Akaushi genetics in the world. U.S. commercial cattlemen are buying our bulls because they work. If you raise Akaushi cattle, we have a buyback program. Our cattle grade 45% USDA prime, less than 2% select, averaging a 2.8 yield grade. It's time you earn premiums over commodity prices. Akaushi provides beef customers with the best beef eating experience. Visit us at hardbrandcattle.com.
If you'd like to know more about NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen and have an opportunity to support our effort to create valuable news, information, and education just for cattle producers, then check out our website, cattlementocattlemen.org.
Public land issues are somewhat unique.
The Public Lands Council is valuable to the ranchers because it's someone out there that's speaking their language.
Somebody has to communicate with the agencies, the BLM, Forest Service, Fish and Wildlife.
Well, the Public Lands Council has provided incredible information and help, I think, to all members of the Congress.
Everything from water rights to endangered species to wildfire to the need to actively manage the lands through grazing.
And there's always a new battle coming up.
The people on the land know much better what's good for them, their land, and their community than anybody in Washington ever will or ever has.
So for them to have someone who is out there helping send their message and helping them keep their industry alive. That's super important for them.
There's no way you can really put a value on what they do for us. So having someone in Washington, D.C., a voice for the industry, a voice for public land ranching, such as PLC, Public Lands Council, is huge.
Internal parasites can be major profit robbers, cutting an animal's ability to gain weight and maintain health. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Matt Fleck has some steps you can take to protect your herd from parasites.
In southern Nebraska, 3 cattle businesses are working to deliver powerful results, from the calf all the way to the finished steer.
Powerline and Power Genetics are the same. Power Genetics is the feed yard supply chain. Powerline is a seed stock bull chain.
The Powerline Genetics is a bull marketing operation. We sell approximately 500 Semangus bulls throughout the year at different sales in different regions.
Grazers Inc. is the cow-calf side of Powerline Genetics, J.D. Anderson's side of the bulls, and we raise bulls for Powerline is our focus.
Through Powerline, we are able to connect our bull customers with the feed yards that are part of the Power Genetics grid. The Semangus cattle perform well in the yards and then still grade well. So it gives our customers an opportunity, for potentially a better price and help their bottom line.
And the beauty of Power Genetics is we have 30 years now of open communication between retailers and food service people of Cargill's customers, back to us as feed yard managers, and then back to our ranches that we buy and sell bulls to and their calves for the past 30 years. And it's been a great run, and I'm just been blessed to be part of it.
Whether it's the cows and calves at grazers or the steers on feed for Power Genetics, the care and performance of the animals is priority one. And for this team, as for producers everywhere, there is an ongoing fight against internal parasites that can negatively impact herd health.
Herd health is everything because, one, the data would show that every time an animal gets sick, it cuts its ability to grade choice literally in half each time. 2, from a performance stand, it's big.
As we look at parasites in cattle, the number one thing that they do is they're going to affect feed intake. So anytime that we affect feed intake, now we're going to start to affect production. So it doesn't matter if we're looking at reproduction, if we're looking at milk production, or if we're just looking at growth. So parasites cause inflammation in the intestinal tract. That causes a decrease in appetite. And then as we decrease our appetite, we're going to decrease nutrient intake, also nutrient absorption.
Parasites, we feel, are a big issue. Just green grass, cows are gonna pick them up. All the calves will get a Safeguard oral dewormer at weaning time. And then the cows, they'll get it as soon as I can get them to the chute, which varies every year.
One of the keys to fighting internal parasites is measuring the problem. That makes it important to work with a veterinarian to gather fecal samples and determine how effective your deworming program is.
We take fecal samples once annually just to see and address any issues we have from a management standpoint, getting ahead of our infections.
So a lot of times what we really need to do is we need to focus on work with the veterinarian and let's see what type of problem do we have as far as parasitism on your ranch. And there's very easy ways to go about it. Merck Animal Health has maintained the largest database. For about 10 years we've been doing fecal samples all across the country and following the efficacies of products through. And what this has allowed us to do is to pick up subtle changes as we start to look at how are our products working. Not just Safeguard, but also macrocyclic lactones, all the ivermectin products. Any product that's being used, we can evaluate efficacy just by looking at what type of response do we see in those cattle.
Safeguard is highly effective and available in several different forms to be used chute side or in the mineral or feed. Equally important, using Safeguard with another class of dewormer concurrently ensures a sustainable deworming program that keeps resistance to a minimum.
As we start to look at a lot of the data coming out around resistance, what they found is if we will take and we'll utilize two different products that come from different classes. So Safeguard is a benzimidazole product. It has a different mechanism of action than the macrocyclic lactones, the ivermectin products. If we combine those two, now we're attacking the worm from two different angles. And as we talk to parasitologists, they feel like that's a strong opportunity for us to start to try to delay the development of resistance that we can see in these animals. So utilizing those two products together at a timely manner and then trying to stay strategic.
Both the research and experience show once an effective deworming program is in place, cattle performance is improved.
Since we've started using Safeguard here at Grazers, I can see the cattle coming on feed, hitting the feed bunk harder, and really gaining just feed efficiency, overall feed efficiency. You can see that, the cattle just do better.
If we can really get on top of parasite loads, it ties everything else that we look at in herd health, our vaccination programs, our implant strategies, everything ties back in to where did we start at when we look at this. If we look at a cow-calf sector, a study that was done at Iowa State would indicate that it's about a $200 value to a good deworming program at the cow-calf level as we start to look at weaning weights, reproduction, all those things associated with it. So deworming is key strategy when it comes to herd health programs.
It's as simple as to get herd health matters drastically because we're going to keep records on where the source of the cattle is, and we'll pay more for healthy cattle.
In the end, delivering better performing, healthier cattle is what it's all about. At Power Genetics in Nebraska, I'm Matt Fleck for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Now, if you want to develop an effective deworming strategy, you can contact your local veterinarian, parasitologist, or animal health provider. You can also visit safeguardworks.com for the latest information on cattle deworming. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll take you to Greeley Hat Works for a behind-the-scenes look at how they make their legendary lids. That story when we return. Stay with us.
They're here, they're hungry, and they can't be stopped with ivermectin alone. Add Safeguard when you deworm your cattle to take out resistant parasites like brown stomach worm, Couperia, Nematodirus, and others. With 2 dewormers from 2 different classes, you can kill more resistant worms in your cattle, so you don't leave potential on the table. Consult your veterinarian for the diagnosis and treatment of parasitism. Then bite back at safeguardworks.com.
Now a BQA tip from the Beef Quality Assurance Program.
My tip today is about biosecurity. It's about bringing cattle onto the place, just bringing in new additions to the herd. If at all possible, what we want to do is we want to get a health program from those cattle. Cattle that are coming in from out of state have the benefit of having a health certificate. So we've had eyes on those cattle. They've looked at those cattle and seen that these cattle are indeed healthy, and that's why they're coming in. Even though those cattle are healthy, we do want to keep them separate from the rest of our herd. Get some background information if at all possible, find out what kind of herd health program they've been on. Keep cattle separate for about 30 days, about 4 weeks to 30 days, and keep an eye on them and watch them. During that time, it's a really good time to take samples if you need to take samples to see if they could be incubating disease. Get them on your herd health program. If you need to do any procedures like vaccinations or deworming, even do some samples to see if they have parasites, that kind of thing. So that's a really good time to go ahead and get them integrated into your herd health program before you actually get contact with your herd.
Find out more about beef quality assurance at bqa.org.
For many ranchers, the cowboy hat just may be the most important part of their wardrobe. Each one is unique and says a lot about the person wearing it. Russell Nemitz has a look at Greeley Hat Works, the legendary custom hat maker in Colorado.
I did not choose to be a hat maker, it chose me. My biggest takeaway from being in the hat business is not to sound cheesy that, you know, the hat is an extension of you, or your hat is as unique as your signature. I don't care what any newspaper or news channel says, not everybody hates America. And the most iconic thing of the American West is the cowboy hat. So Greeley Hat Works has been around since 1909. I'm the 4th hat maker to own it. I was an apprentice here for 3.5 years, and as of January 1st of 2021 will be my 25th anniversary of being the owner. It's just really an honor and be able to kind of continue the legacy. The number one part of designing a hat for somebody, and the number one part of designing, I don't care what it is, I don't care if it's genetics and cattle. The first thing is to be able to listen to your customer. That's the number one thing, is being able to listen. How are they going to use it? What do they use it for? Who are they? Those types of things, and then also with their build and their face shape, that's how we start working it all together. So that when I say it's an extension of your personality, it's because I'm listening to you and what you're into or what you do or how you're going to use it, and I try to really pack all of that into one hat. So we've built hats for movies and all of that stuff, but real people, the cattlemen, that's our bread and butter, and that's like working for salt of the earth people. If they don't like it, they'll tell you, and not every hat I build is perfect. But the great thing with the cattlemen is when it's not perfect or they're not happy, they talk to me about it, and it makes me better every time. So a lot of it is just about the relationships. The first president I got to make hats for was President Bush, and I've been blessed enough to build him several now. The first hat we got to build for him was at NCBA conference in Denver, and they wanted to give the president a hat as a gift. The cattlemen and cattlewomen and that entire industry, why it's so special is because of that tradition. They're not just wearing a hat because they saw someone wear it on Yellowstone, and their sweat in that hat is the badge of their hard work in feeding America and the world. So for me, it's kind of like a soft reset when I'm at an NCBA, or, you know, we support and work with a lot of state affiliations all over the country. So it's just always a breath of fresh air and kind of like a soft reset to get back to real people. Like that's what's made us. My last year as an apprentice, we built 60 hats, 60. My first year, so 25 years ago, we built about 120. Last year, we built about 5,000, and people will be like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But if you look at that growth over 25 years, it's slowly ridiculous growth, but it was manageable. Because if you get too big, too fast, the first two things that go are quality and customer service. And I'm hungry, and I want to have a nice life, and I want all my coworkers to have a nice life, but it's going to take time. You can't just turn and burn and sell a bunch of hats, because you're going to sell that customer one hat one time. When they put it on, usually when I shape it and we put it on their head, they don't get to look in the mirror. They have to look at me first, and then if they brought like a spouse or a loved one, they have to look at them next. And then if we both agree that we like it, then they get to look in the mirror, and we call it mirror worthy. And then, I mean, just the smile, it's like done. It's awesome. And you know, we have a lot of people that we built 15, 20 hats for, and you don't do that if you don't have good quality and good customer service.
It's truly impressive to see those hats being made, and even more amazing to wear one. For more information on how you can get your own custom fitted hat, visit GreeleyHatWorks.com. Greeley Hat Works has been a long-time supporter of NCBA in many ways, from being an exhibitor at the NCBA trade show to supporting those that work to recruit new members through the Top Hand Club. To find out how you can help the beef industry and have the chance to earn a custom fit hat directly from Greeley Hat Works, go to ncba.org. Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll meet the Dyer family in Southwest Texas, where innovation and commitment are helping to keep the ranching tradition alive. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We didn't just design the 6M tractors with you in mind. We designed them with you by our side. The new 6M tractors from John Deere, reimagined by you, for you. With improved visibility, better maneuverability, and more ways to customize, so you get everything you need and nothing you don't. Experience the new 6M at your local John Deere dealer.
Are you concerned about the impact government policies could have on your cattle business? One way to make your voice heard in Washington is by joining NCBA. When you join, you'll have access to key policy updates and insights from Beltway Beef. It's the best way to hear directly from NCBA's DC team. Beltway Beef provides valuable policy information, and it's free for NCBA members. Stay in touch with Beltway Beef. Join now at ncba.org.
Travel to the Davis Mountains in southwest Texas, and you'll find beautiful but tough cattle country. It's a region with very few towns, but dedicated families who have a long tradition of raising outstanding cattle. And to succeed there, it helps if you're a little bit innovative. You'll see what I mean as Brian Baxter introduces us to the Dyer family.
Jim Dyer is doing what he's done nearly his whole life, saddling horses, riding out, and gathering cattle on the grasslands of the Big Bend area of West Texas.
Oh man, I think it's some of the best cattle country in the world. We get a real mild winter. Very seldom do we get any snow, and if we do get snow, it's melted off by noon the next day or something. And so it's a pretty mild winter, and then the only drawback to it is we don't get any spring rain most of the time. All our rains usually come in the summer. We get the monsoons come up out of Mexico. We call it Rancho Espuela Cattle Company. Espuela means spur in Spanish. We bought a bunch of cows out of Kansas back in the mid-'70s, and they had the spur brand on it, and it wasn't registered in Hudspeth County, so we just registered that spur brand, and we named the company Rancho Espuela.
This is the Davis Mountains, or the mountain range here, and it's a good cattle country, even though it's part of the Chihuahuan Desert. But our average rainfall is about 15 inches, and we're a cow-calf operation, and we struggle like everyone else sometimes when it doesn't rain, but as you can see this year, we got pretty good rain, so we're pretty pleased, and everyone's in a good mood.
Jim's daughter Amanda helps him with the ranch and with Big Bend Trailers, the company he founded using his own experience to create an innovative stock trailer with useful features that will stand up in the toughest country.
Well, my dad started Big Bend Trailers in 2003, and I came on to help him out about, I guess, 7 or 8 years ago, and so we're just a family-run operation. We actually ranch for a living, and it was kind of a fluke deal that he started this trailer business, just kind of a side business, but now it's turned into a full-time business and a full-time job for me.
Well, I think one of the things that makes Big Bend different is that I don't know of any other trailer manufacturer that actually ranches for a living, and so we get firsthand use. We get to know what works and what doesn't work. So if we can figure out a way to do it easier where it's less work, well, heck, we'll do it and design it into our trailer.
I would like to say that they're the toughest on the market, and I think that just goes back to the fact that we use them, and we use them in rough country, and so if there is a weak spot on them, we correct them, and you know, everything that we do with the trailers is to make them stout and to make them last. That's our motto is Ranch Tough, and that's what they are. They're tough.
Big Bend Trailers are now sold from coast to coast, and Jim has continued to work to add innovative features to make each of the trailers his company builds tougher and easier to use. The Dyers also still innovate in their cattle business. A few years back, they switched from Limousine, adding the Akaushi breed to their operation.
We raised Akaushi cattle. We got into that breed in 2010, actually. I'd gone through the TC Ranch Management Program, and we saw some on feed, and they looked a lot like Limousine cattle, which is what we were raising to begin with, and they were saying that they would grade prime on grass, and so it just intrigued me.
We bought some Akaushi full-blood bull calves and put them on our first calf Limousine heifers and calved out of them, and they're real easy calving. They calve about like a longhorn. They have real small calves, and so we were really pleased with the calving ease, and so ever since then we've always bred our heifers to them, and we don't really have to watch the heifers. They kind of calve on their own, and we don't have any problems to speak of at all.
The Dyer family's roots in ranching go back several generations. Jim grew up showing cattle with the encouragement of his parents, James and Jan, who got married nearly 70 years ago and started the family cattle operation in this part of Texas.
Well, it's a real strong country, and I bought cattle for Young and Cooper out of Kansas, and they bought cattle everywhere, and they come down here. Les Cooper come down here several times. He said he thought this was the best country he had ever seen.
I love this ranch. It's like I said, it's God's country. I love it. We raised our family here. Our grandchildren grew up here, and our great-grandchildren are growing up here. It's a wonderful place to live.
You can't pick your parents, but if I could, I'd sure pick my dad and mom. It's been a blessing, to have them as parents, and they've been a great role model and a mentor and everything. And I really like to follow in his footsteps. And it's just been great to, to work together as a family. And to me, you'd be hard pressed to find a better life and what you could do for a living that you love, getting up every morning and love what you do for a living.
At the home of the Dyer family and Big Bend Trailers in West Texas, I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Now, if you're interested in a new trailer that can stand up to the harshest conditions, then check out the website bigbendtrailers.com and see all the options they have available. Do you want to rewatch an episode of Cattlemen to Cattlemen or catch up on anything you've missed? Then visit our YouTube page. You'll find replays of all our shows filled with educational segments and producer profiles from all across the country. Go to youtube.com/Cattlemen to Cattlemen to check it out. When we return, it's time for a visit with our good friend Baxter Black. Stay with us.
What does it mean to be dependable? It means you do what you say you'll do time and time again. Because performance isn't optional, and your task is essential. For over 95 years, we have proven ourselves to be the most dependable choice. That's why the cattlemen of this great nation trust Ritchie to provide fresh water on demand. Ritchie, proud to be a partner to the American cattlemen since 1921.
We know you're up before the dawn because the cattle rise before the sun. And you spend long hours in the saddle because the herd isn't always over the next rise. And you care for the land because you know it takes care of your family. And we know you do great work. And it's time to tell that story to the marketplace. IMI Global is here to help you do just that.
At Leachman Cattle, we're committed to building more profitable cattle. As a third-generation seed stock producer, our family has been in this business for over 80 years. Today, we have the best technology ever to build more profitable cattle. Our dollar profit index is a leader in the industry to help you balance all the traits that drive your bottom line. Give us a call or go to www.leachman to learn more.
A man came up to me at the Intertribal Ag Council in Tulsa.
Most Native Americans I know are cowboys. They're livestock people. They run cattle and sheep. They like good horses and love rodeo. Well, he was a cattle foreman on one of those big reservations out west, and he told me this story, and I made a poem from it. Gerald Two Bears was the foreman of the tribal branding crew. Lots of Indians who were cowboys came to do what they could do. Billy Strike was good at roping, and his medicine was strong, and he roped them automatic, till misfortune came along, 'cause he roped a good-sized heifer calf, but he roped her around the neck. She ran behind his horse's butt and put them both in check. The rope slid underneath his tail, which spooked the pony some, so of course he went to pitching, 'cause that nylon chafed his bum. Now like I said, that Billy's tough and wouldn't quit his dally. That rope was holding him down tight, made every peak and valley. His horse was snorting up the dirt like he was sweeping mines and kicking himself sideways like a spring when it unwinds. Billy blew his left-hand stirrup, so he leaned against the tide, but his saddle got some cockeyed, slipping off the other side. His dally peeled off the horn. His anchor chain had broke. Billy flew like Humpty Dumpty and came down and broke his yoke. Gerald Two Bears ran to Billy, who lay still upon the ground. He said, "Billy, are you all right?" Billy never made a sound. He listened for his breathing, but he lay so awfully still. He said, "Billy, can you hear me?" Then, with superhuman will, Billy's eyelid raised, his eyeball turned and swiveled toward the source. Gerald leaned up close and whispered, "Billy, can I have your horse?" This is Baxter Black from out there.
Thanks, Baxter. We sure enjoy your weekly dose of cowboy wisdom. Now, if you'd like to know more about what's happening with NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, you can find us on Facebook. Be sure to like our page, and we'll keep you updated with photos, details on upcoming shows, and much more. And it's a great way to connect with other cattlemen and women all across the country. So check us out on Facebook. We'll be right back right after this. Stay with us.
At Case IH, we believe it's our job to provide you with solutions. That's why our Farmall and Maxim tractors, as well as our tools and attachments, are designed with you in mind. From mowing to baling to loading and more, we're here to help turn your to-dos into to-dones. At Case IH, we'll keep your days running smoothly with equipment that's durable, versatile, and highly efficient. No wonder farmers are more loyal to Case IH than any other brand. Visit your local dealer or go to caseih.com/livestock for more. Do you have an upcoming production sale to advertise? Then contact the Cattlemen to Cattlemen marketing team to learn more.
Many producers are increasing their profitability by selling their beef directly to consumers. But as Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Lane Nordland tells us, there are many factors to consider if you're thinking about direct marketing your own beef.
Moult, Montana ranchers Sarah and Hank Hollenbeck started their own direct-to-consumer brand, High Five Meats, 5 years ago. They took their knowledge of the business and recently hosted a 5-part beginner's guide to direct marketing meat webinar series to help their fellow producers learn the do's and don'ts of the business.
I've spoken at a number of conferences over the years, and a lot of people come up to me afterward and say,
I've always wanted to try it, but I just don't know how to get started. I don't know how to begin. And so I've been getting just, bombarded with questions from people on the internet, in person, all the time asking me questions. And I love answering them. I love connecting with people one-on-one. But I see this huge need for someone like myself that has been doing it for a few years and can kind of give them the information that they need to get started.
Webinar attendees from 11 states heard from multiple experts in the business that discuss starting out, pricing, processing, marketing, and shipping product.
Instead of someone trying to jump into this, not necessarily know exactly what they're doing, maybe giving a customer a bad first interaction, I don't want that to happen. I want it to be a good, positive relationship on the rancher's side, on the customer side. And so I think if I can give some information on how to make that a seamless interaction, that will hopefully keep people coming back and trying to buy direct from a ranch.
For Hollenbeck, it's all about helping her fellow producers.
I wouldn't do this if I was not super excited about the potential of other people selling their meat directly. Talking to other ranchers that are like, I have this idea, makes me so excited that they're so excited, and I just want to help and possibly give them some more guidance on their journey.
Even though the live webinars have concluded, cattlemen and women can still participate in the 5-part pre-recorded webinar series by registering at high5meats.com, where they can also use the discount code NCBA during checkout. Reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, I'm Lane Northland.
We've got a special episode of Cattlemen to Cattlemen coming your way next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That's when we'll announce the 2020 Regional Environmental Stewardship Award winners. It's a chance to honor 7 operations that go above and beyond with their stewardship and conservation efforts. You and your family will enjoy hearing the stories of these unique regional winners, and you may even gain tips and tricks that you can apply on your own operation. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.